is Isaac Akomea-Frimpong. I'm at Western Sydney University. I'm presenting on managing financial risk of public-private partnership projects in the COVID-19 pandemic or the era. So I'll be presenting these things to you this morning. Introduction, problem statement, aim and objectives, research method, results, and then my conclusions. So public-private partnership is a model which has been widely accepted in the construction industry. And the public-private partnership is simply a collaboration or a partnership between the public sector. The public sector here, I mean the government, I mean the central government and local government and the private sector. Many years ago, most of the public infrastructure projects were normally executed by only the government. But for the past, I would say about 30 years or 20 years, we have seen the involvement of the private sector in helping the public sector, which is the government, to execute these projects. And the commonest or the common features that we can see with this model of executing public infrastructure projects is that normally the private sector and the government, they share the risk. And then also normally the profits and the losses that will come out of the projects, they also share them together. So as you can see here, for the past about 30 years, and from this World Bank data, you can see that there has been a rise or an increase or acceptance of this model in developing public infrastructure projects, especially in the developing world, where it is very difficult for governments to get finance to support their infrastructural projects. However, since the COVID-19 pandemic, this issue of government getting money has gone up or has become very difficult. The reason being that during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have all seen mandatory lockdowns, shutdown of projects, delays and missing of deadlines, social distancing, and mental health issues, as well as health and safety tools. All these things have led to an increase in the way projects were executed in terms of the finances and the losses that come out of projects. And some of these things show or attest to the difficulties that many countries are encountering right now in terms of the COVID-19 cases and the deaths. And as you can see from this slide, as of 21st of June 2021, these are the cases and the deaths of the COVID-19 pandemic. And these things have really affected projects in terms of increasing the cost of executing projects. So in this study, what I did or what I went through is that I decided to find out what are the key financial risk or what are the key financial losses associated with PPP projects, especially in this COVID-19 pandemic. And then I also wanted to find out the measures that we can put in place in solving these problems. And then even the ones that maybe 20 years from now, 100 years from now, or so many years from now will also come. So the objectives or the aims and objectives of this study is to analyze the financial risk of PPP projects in this COVID-19 pandemic. And then the two objectives are to identify the critical financial risk of PPP projects in this era. And then the next thing is to highlight the control measures for practice and future research on financial risk of PPP projects. So this is the research method I use. Basically, I use a 3-step approach. The first step was that I did a thorough review of existing studies or literature review. And the literature review, I limited the studies to 2020 and 2021. So as of June 2021, I got only 32 articles relating to this study. And then I did some content analysis. And out of that, I extracted some key variables and statements from these literature. Literature were taken from Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, and PubMed. So the second step was that I designed a survey, an online survey, because of the social distancing and you can't get access to people physically. I did an online, or I designed an online survey. And this online survey, I collected a number of emails. I'm talking about PPP experts. I sent these emails to them with the links, and then I made them answer the survey. And then after I collected all the survey, I did a factor analysis on PCA. I must say, or I must confirm that this study is still ongoing. So these are, I would say, the initial results that I'm going to present. So it's still an ongoing study. And then I showcase the results. The results, I group everything into 3 using a factor analysis. I'm talking about the financial risk, economic factors, environmental factors, and the social factors. So this is the results out of the study. The descriptive analysis showed that these are some of the authors who are contributing to this study. That was a literature review. And you can see some of the names here, Abechan, Oseche, and then other people who are into this study. And then the institutions where I sent the survey, and then also where studies are being conducted on PPP projects, financial risk, and the COVID-19 are some of these institutions. As you can see, Western Citizen University, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Hong Kong Polytechnic University, University of Technology, Sydney, UTS, and others. And then these are some of the countries. So these are the countries where studies are being conducted. And these are also some of the countries I also sent the survey to. So Australia, China, Ghana, and other countries. So out of the analysis, this is what I've been able to discover. So the results show that these are the critical financial risk of PPP projects as far as the COVID-19 is concerned. The first one is the interest risk. According to the experts, the interest risk of PPP project has gone up. The reason being that because of the COVID-19, some of the loans and some of the capital that they contracted to construct this project, they have not been able to finish the project because of the delays and then the setbacks. And therefore, projects which were scheduled to be completed and then start operating so that people or those who, I'm talking about the project managers, will get money out of the projects. Those projects have not been completed, therefore increasing the interest risk. In other words, the interest risk is supposed to be they contracted the loan for, let's say, 5 months or 10 months or 2 years or 3 years. And the projects are supposed to be executed by, let's say they take it 10 months and the project is supposed to be executed within the 10 months. But here is a case where we have a pandemic, and for the past about 18 months, some of them, they have not been able to even gone back to work on the projects. Therefore, the projects have not been completed, and then the financial charges are still there, which I don't know how, or they don't know how they are going to get money to finance this. Then also construction costs, they have also gone up. The reason being that inflation rates and then other issues relating to the construction materials, they have also gone up. Then cost overruns have gone up. Health and safety costs. We all know how the COVID-19 has increased the health issues and then the health-related costs of construction workers. And then even there are also instances where it is very difficult to get even money to start projects because it seems the whole world is in economic crisis. So that was also one of the challenges that they highlighted. And then termination, of course, there are even situations where the project they have to terminate the entire project entirely. So that's also another thing that I discovered from the experts. These are some of the control measures that the experts proposed that going forward we can put in place in order to solve some of these problems. One of them is to design an effective cost management strategies. And then also to assess project capital, there must be a way or an alternative way of financing projects, not only looking at only the private sector or looking at the government or looking at some international donors, but there must be a broad way of getting access to finance. And then other things that they suggested, as you can see from here. So the conclusion from this study is that from what I discovered, it seems a lot have not been done as far as this issue is concerned, and a few cases which have covered few countries. So going forward, I propose that researchers look at this and cover this issue in many countries. Many countries, I mean, especially countries where the COVID-19 has wreaked havoc. I think that this issue must be looked at. And then poor supervision and risk management should also be looked at. And then limited conceptualization of this issue must also be looked at. The implications of this study is that this study could be a guide for project managers to control financial risk of PPP projects. And then it's also, this study will further studies which other researchers are going to look at. And then policy implications. I think that financial risk, not only I think, but I mean, coming from the discoveries that I got from the literature and then the experts, financial risk is a very prominent issue which policymakers must look at going forward. So they need to, especially relating to health and safety. So it's something that they have to look at and then design policies on them. So I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Isaac. I've started the Q&A, so people can unmute and start the video if you have any questions. I have a question though. So for your research, you found that only very few countries have been publishing research about the implications. Do you think it's because of other countries' policies with the public-private partnerships, or it's just really strange that there's just so few I guess countries and universities really looking at it, publishing it. And I know it's a really new kind of thing, but the construction industry really drives the economy, especially in Australia. It's such a big thing for us, and I know it is a big thing overseas. So it's just so strange that when you're saying it's like 6 universities and 3 countries. Do you have any insights as to why it's just these 3?
Okay, I think it's because the pandemic started early 2020. So I believe that as time goes on, like maybe the post-COVID, we'll see so many studies, because I think some people are still looking at waiting for the outcome of the pandemic, the results, because like we are in the middle of the pandemic and we don't really know the results. And you know, when you are in the middle of something, you can't assess it very well, you know. So, but when the thing is over, then you can come out with the effects. So I think people are a little bit skeptical, or they are trying to set back, or they are delaying a bit. They want to maybe see the pandemic all over, or when it's over, then they come out with studies or the results. Because most studies, or the studies that I read, I discovered that most of the studies are more of a case study, exploratory, and most of them, they say that we are still waiting for the pandemic to be over. So I think that's the reason why we have few universities and few countries where this thing has been done. I think that maybe if we look at the next year or next 2 years, when we are all fully vaccinated and the pandemic is over, then people can really take a very good analysis of the whole pandemic thing. So I think that's the reason why we have few studies from countries and few universities are into this.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Isaac. I think Farid has a question also.
Yes,
Okay.
Thanks a lot for that really great presentation. I had a look at one of those tables that was concluding the financial risk in a COVID era. And the first one was, yeah, exactly this one. The first one is interest risk. Now, considering the amount of funds that the government currently, Australian government is currently injecting in the construction projects in terms of subsidies, what is your prospect in the future of the interest rate?
I believe that with the support that the government is giving to the economy, I think that it's in the long run, it will help reduce the effects of the interest risk, high interest risk, especially relating to construction materials, because interest risk and then inflation risk, they tend to affect the construction material. So I think that looking at the way the government, if the government continues to support construction industries and even the entire economy with this money that they are putting in place, I think is going to help to reduce the effects. So that's what I would say for now.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.